Welcome, everybody. This is Up Your Rank FPL. We are your hosts. I'm AC. That's Bry, bringing you another episode. This time around, Game Week 2 review. If you guys are new around here and you like the content, you like what we're talking about, make sure that you smash that like button, hit subscribe, share the video, and follow us on Twitter at Up Your Rank FPL. Bry, my guy, Wagwan Game Week 2 has come to an end officially. That's how I feel. That's how I feel about the game week, Bry.
Listen, man. Listen. I want to stop you right there. I got to jump in because I got a lot I want to get off my chest today, dog. I'm well cheesed. Yo, that Spurs versus Chelsea game was an absolute utter disgrace. I don't know how this guy continues to ref Chelsea games. I can show you several different times where this referee has continued to screw Chelsea. In total, honestly, I think he's lost us like maybe 40 points over the last few years. It's been unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
Who was officiating?
Mr. Taylor. Mr. Anthony Taylor.
You're not a fan?
Absolutely not a fan. This guy always comes with some foolishness every time he refs a game, man. And you know what's funny is before the game actually started, like a couple of days into the game week, I was talking with a couple of guys who are also Chelsea fans, and one of them mentioned it. He was like, "Hey, it's our ref who's reffing the game," and I didn't think anything of it at the time. And while the game was going on, he sent me a text, and I wasn't happy. I really wasn't happy, man. It's a real disgrace. It's a real shame. But, that's how it goes, right? You got to deal with what the refs put out. Overall, I'm really happy, though, with how my team looked for 80 out of those 90 minutes. I think we dominated the Spurs. They couldn't get their foot on the ball for a lot of the game that was playing. So I'm happy with how the boys did, but I'm disappointed with only coming away with 1 point out of that, man. I have to just get that off my chest. I'm well cheese. Should be 3 points wrapped up, but it is what it is. We also couldn't finish. Havertz missing another sitter, his usual. This guy can't buy a goal, but hey, that's the situation we find ourselves in.
Don't get me started about a team that can't finish. The Liverpool game this evening, if you're obviously in Europe. I don't want to say the word disappointment because it's not a full disappointment other than the outcome and dropping 2 more points. When I'm looking at their play and how the ball was moving, that's standard Liverpool play. High press, right? You live by the high press, you die by the high press. And unfortunately, we got caught slipping, and it was an easy finish for Zaha. First goal. 6 Premier League games in a row where Liverpool is getting scored on first. It's not an achievement, and it's not no record to brag about just because you haven't lost a game, even though you've been scored on 6 times. Woohoo. So what? 3 draws, 3 wins. Should be 6 wins. How many times are we going to get scored on first? It's making me contemplate getting rid of double Liverpool defense. Oh, it's quite annoying.
Yeah, it's definitely a cause for concern.
Right? Even Robertson had a chance. I can't remember which half it was. I believe it was was it the first half?
I think it was first half. Where he got it on his chest, yeah.
I was thoroughly disappointed. Yes, that's exactly when it was. Yeah. He got it on his chest.
Yeah. I got blocked. I think got blocked, yeah.
Hit that. Right? There was a chance as well where I believe Nunes got it on his chest and hit the post.
No, Nunes came out the sky, and it was off a cross, and he skied it. He ended up skying it.
So then who hit it off the post today?
Zaha hit it off the post.
Nah, there was a deflection by Liverpool. Like it kind of deflected off one of the opposing team's defenders and hit the post. Someone else was trying to come in and finish it, and then Salah got called on the foul right when Van Dijk looked like he was about to strike it.
Yeah, that was in the second half. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, that was the second half.
Yeah, second half. That was the second half.
Okay, but obviously that didn't go anywhere, so no point in reminiscing on what could have been. The point is, from an FPL perspective, it's not looking good to have double Liverpool defense at this particular moment. But from a Liverpool Premier League fan perspective, get FPL out of the way. Fans were 2 points. 2 points to start the campaign. What? This is embarrassing.
Hey.
This is disgusting. Hey. This is frustrating. It is annoying. It is every adjective that you can throw in there to show your anger.
Your disdain.
Exactly, for the club. So I wasn't liking what I was seeing from, again, that FPL perspective, but they played their game. They did what they normally did. They had chances. They can't act like they didn't, right? We just weren't finishing. We weren't clinical enough. Not to mention the red card that came in the game for those who may have just transferred in Nunes. Wow.
Hey, man, sometimes it doesn't pay to knee-jerk, man. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's better to wait and see.
Exactly. So outside of talking about both of our clubs dropping points that we feel neither club should have dropped, what other games in this particular game week caught your attention?
All right. Well, I'm gonna jump to the big elephant in the room and talk about the absolute slaughtering that Manchester United received by the hands of promoted last year team Brentford. Brentford looked like they were in a completely different league to Manchester United during that game. 4-0, for Manchester United to play away, their away record is shockingly bad. It's bad.
Call it what it is. It's shit.
Their away record, it's crazy. For a team like Brentford to have Manchester United coming to play you at home, and for them to feel as though, this is 3 points, boys, and go out there and get it in that fashion, I think says a lot about where Manchester United is at. A lot of people, touching on FPL, were very interested in United players to start the season based on how free-flowing they were looking attacking-wise in preseason. Martial, Rashford, Sancho, these were common names that were getting brought up. And even Diego Dallo, he made my first initial draft. You can see how poorly this team really is, and it's quite sad, to be honest. As a longtime Premier League watcher, when I started watching PL, Manchester United was Chelsea's biggest rival. You know what I mean? It was always us and them battling it out, and to see where they're at now is really shocking. I think that was the game that really opened my eyes to how bad they are this season. Brentford looked great. Brentford looked organized. Ivan Toney, I think, looks like a really solid striker up front. Secretly, I'm really hoping Chelsea puts in a transfer request and test the waters with him a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, because we could use someone with some sense up top. But they looked. That was the game for me that really stood out. How about for you? What game outside of that Liverpool game, stands out for you, or do you want to touch on?
I mean, I want to touch on all the games if we're going to be honest, but the first game I want to touch on is the West Ham game. And I had said it in our last video that I expected West Ham to come out, although it was an away game. I expected them to. No, it wasn't an away game for.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I expected them to do better, especially against a newly promoted team. You just got clobbered by the defending champions, but we weren't going to think too much of it because it's City, right? So you kind of get in it. You kind of, all right, it's City. We get it. That's going to happen. We expect it to happen. But then you come up against a newly promoted side like Nottingham Forest, where if memory serves 7 or 8, maybe even 9 of their players are new signings in their starting 11, or maybe just the team in general. I just know that it's a ridiculous amount of players who are new to the club because most of the players they had last year in Championship were out on loan.
Yep.
Right. So this team is still trying to figure out how to play with one another. West Ham has been playing together for a minute. They didn't even look like they wanted to. Listen, Bowen looked invisible, right?
Yep.
With respects to a couple of the players who I thought played relatively well.
Like who?
Decent.
Like who? I'm curious. Who?
Ben Rama. Okay, Ben Rama looked good. Like the only player, not one of the only players on the team who was trying to do something. Although he didn't finish.
He looked good. He had some chances.
He looked good.
He had their best chances. Yeah,
exactly.
He had their best chances. Yeah.
Now there was a couple of times where Declan kind of annoyed me, but overall, he still played a relatively solid game, even though the outcome wasn't favorable for the Hammers. It was still a decent game for Declan. I didn't see him do too much that's going to make me shake my head and be like, oh, this guy should be on the bench. No, it wasn't one of those games.
Yeah.
But everybody else, Antonio looked like he...
I was waiting for you to call that boy's name out.
He looked like he couldn't hold up the ball to create anything.
Michail Antonio looked like Michail Antonio.
I don't like that. I was really hoping that there was going to be a different flavor in people's mouths when they said his name.
No, Michail Antonio looked like that is how Michail Antonio plays.
His minutes are going to have to be managed.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I've been saying I expect some Scamacca to be starting by. I think I said game week 4 or game week 5. I expect him to have the starting job.
I feel like you said game week 3.
yeah, and if I said game week 3, I expect him to keep that up. By the end of game week 3, he will have that starting job.
Yeah,
Antonio is totally out of form.
It just didn't look good for him. I thought that players like Souček looked okay, but okay is not enough. How is it that you're not even able to keep a clean sheet? I have to admit, I thought that Cresswell was okay in the game. And I said it to you before that I didn't expect him to get any attacking returns, but I expected a clean sheet because the goal that was essentially who fanned on the shot kind of hit the deflector. I believe it was Lingard.
I think it was.
Then it hit the defender, and then it bounced off of the striker for Nottingham Forest and off of his knee or something like that, and went into the goal.
Hey man. Goal's a goal.
A goal's a goal. Get it how you get it.
Hey, as a striker, listen, it don't matter how you score at the end of the season, they just see a number.
But that's how it. How do you say his name? Awoniyi.
Yeah. Hey, and listen. There are a lot of people who had their eye on him as well. When he made the transfer, he could be a potential. Even for FPL, I think he's at 6 million. He's a potential.
I think option. He dropped in price though. He's actually 5.9 right now.
Okay.
And with respects to how he played, I mean, 8 points, 71 minutes, 2 shots, 1 shot on target. Obviously, it wasn't. I mean, it's 1% ownership.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest didn't look good offensively. It was just that West Ham looked terrible defensively. So I don't want to even talk about those guys unless you want to throw something in there. There's another game I want to address, unless you have any final words about West Ham.
No, I got one last game I want to address too. Let me hear what you want to hit me with.
So the game that I 100% want to talk about is obviously the Arsenal game.
Okay.
That game is Gabriel Jesus was just phenomenal. He just found himself in the right positions to score a whopping 19 points. Now, that is crazy. He had 7 shots in the game.
Bruh.
He had 7 shots in the game, and 3 of them were on target. Did
Bruh.
you see his first goal was just so calm, cool, collected? The man said, let me just pick out that corner right there.
Listen, Gabriel Jesus is looking like prime R9 right now, guys. Like, this guy is playing with some confidence. We have not seen this I don't think we saw this version of Jesus at City ever. I don't think he ever came in with this level of confidence. Of course, he scored a bag of goals for City.
Yeah.
But just the confidence that he is playing with right now up top, to me, watching him play, he looks like he thinks that he's the man at Arsenal. That's how he's playing. He's playing like he's that guy at Arsenal. And I think that that's how the team and Arteta have set up things for him. And he's delivering. He played a hell of a game, man.
He is the man.
A hell of a game.
He was the best footballer on that pitch that day. And I know it's against a struggling Leicester who doesn't necessarily have the best goalkeeper, but Ward looked awful. Ward's bobbling the ball, can't make simple catches. The trap, we all got caught in the 4.0 goalkeeper trap. He was awful.
Million, man. That's what you get for $4 million.
Come on, man. I'm frustrated. I think I want Iverson to go into start next game. Let's give it a chance and switch it up.
Yeah, let's see what he can do, man. I'm not mad at that. I'm not opposed to that.
What did you think of the Leicester player? Did you watch that game?
Yeah.
What did you think of the Leicester players, specifically Maddison?
I thought Maddison, again, every time Maddison plays and he gets on the ball, I think his quality is very clear for everyone to see. The problem, though, with Leicester, just how Leicester's set up, Leicester is just a team that they like to play on the counter. They've always liked to play on the counter, and they just don't hold the ball enough or play enough possession football, I think, for Maddison to shine. I think he's still a good FPL option. I think he'll still take over like he has, over the last few seasons. Mm-hmm. I think a big money move has kind of passed him by, though. I think there's probably a time where he should have taken a little bit of a move and go and, step up his level of competition or the team that he's in. He looks good. I think he looks good, but I don't know. Leicester's in a tough spot right now.
They're definitely in a tough spot to. I don't know where they're mid-table team at best. Top 6. I don't really see it in Leicester's.
I don't see it
grasps this particular year. I don't even see top 8 personally. I feel like Brentford is a team who is gunning and is more likely to finish higher in the table than a team like Leicester. But Maddison, as an individual player, great FPL option. He wasn't as attacking like he was in game week 1 against Brentford, but he still had, 1 shot on target, 2 shots total, an attempted assist. It was decent with respects to what you would want out of an FPL player. And if you're looking to move around any 8.0 players who you might be frustrated with, Maddison could be a go-to option, especially with fixtures like Southampton coming up. Obviously, Chelsea's going to be a little bit more difficult, but then you have the likes of a Man U, which is looking good. That's KFC right there. That's KFC. I think that anytime there's a game week against Manchester United, you need to go and get some of those assets, whether offensively or defensively, because that's KFC right there. That's chicken. So I'm liking the next 2 out of 3 fixtures for him, even Brighton and Villa afterwards. So somebody on the radar at 5%, 5.2% ownership. Outside of him, nobody else on the team really on Leicester really looks good to me. Vardy, his age. It's age for me is always going to be a thing. I think certain players are going to need to get some PT.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I like KDH as a bench option. He's playing attacking enough at that price point. But yeah, like outside of Madison, I mean,
I'm wondering if Daka needs to his PT needs to go up.
Yeah, but again, the coach sees him. Coach sees him, every day. Every day at practice and during the games, and he still hasn't won that spot over. He's not winning the playing time. So
yeah,
there's something there that we're not seeing. That
I mean,
so other people are.
I don't know. Vardy's played 2 games and he's had 0 shots. Come on. That at 9.5 at 9. You're the striker. In 2 games you had 0 shots.
Hey,
come on, bro. I think that if you have Vardy in your team, he needs to be somebody you're thinking about letting go. He's way too expensive and he's not producing.
I agree with that. What I'm gonna throw out a couple players at you. What about Luka Ding?
And Luka Dean doing what Luka Dean does and scoring on his own team.
What about Luka? Luka played for Everton and scored an own goal against Aston Villa.
Mm-hmm.
And now Luka played for Aston Villa and scored an own goal against Everton. He has to go down as one of the unluckiest, consistently unlucky FPL options. He is crazy in FPL. So for all you Luka owners, I'm sorry for that. Anyone who jumped on the Metro train, you also got a you also got a little bit of a negative score there for missing the pen.
Mm-hmm.
Very sorry about that as well. Just 2 players who I wanna highlight as well, who I thought were just very interesting, considering how many people may have brought them in the team or already had them. There's some players who might own all 3 of, Luka, Mitro, and Nunes. I'm sure
absolutely
there's somebody out there like that.
So with respects to Dean, obviously super unlucky. He's never going to see my FPL team. I don't care what price he is. Unless he's 4.0, he's never coming on my FPL team. But you know who looked good in that Villa game? Take a guess. You know who I'm going to... There's 2 names I'm going to say.
It better not be Danny Ings.
Of course it's Danny Ings.
Listen.
Of course it's Danny Ings. I've been a Danny Ings fan. Listen, I love what this old man can do. Danny Ings looked great.
Yo, he took his goal so well. He took his goal so well. But, unfortunately, unlike you, the way you feel about Luka Ding is Danny Ings for me. It doesn't matter how well he's doing. He'll never be brought into my team.
It doesn't matter. I know you said that. And I understand why, but I think a player who we need to address that's constantly under the radar on Villa is Watkins, as if this guy dropped in price and still delivered 2 assists.
Yeah.
Like sometimes there are players who just fly under the radar, and I guess he is a little bit of an awkward price point to fit into some of the teams. But how can a player really be at an awkward price point if they continue to deliver? Now, I'm not sure if a streak is going to stem from this. And I know it's just against a broken Everton defense, but we can't ignore what a player like Watkins can do at his price point, points per million. He's a very decent option. He's a consistent player if he doesn't go cold. I'm going to keep my eye on him for a little while.
One for the
definitely going to keep my, there's some difficult fixtures that are coming up and people are moving on from the likes of benched Bailey. As if that happened. Had I known Bailey was going to be benched, I definitely would have done something different with my team.
We knew he was a risk. We just didn't expect that from Gerrard.
the hype that came with this guy, and me and trying to root for a Jamaican. That needs to stop. The Jamaicans are out. I think, and next thing you know, I'm gonna start cheering for Bobby De Cordova Reed or something like that.
No,
and that's when I can't be trusted on FPL no more when I start saying that name.
Definitely not.
I think with the other fixtures that were played, unfortunate with Bamford, he can't catch a break.
Can't catch a break. You know what? He can't catch a break. And here's the second part about that too. I actually think Bamford getting injured also hurts Rodrigo. And Rodrigo was really looking like such an interesting option. I know he's already went up in price. Mm-hmm. There's been, hundreds of thousands of people who have transferred him in already. And I think it really hurts his ability or where he plays on the pitch, because we saw last year when Bamford was out and Rodrigo had to take up more of a direct role, he wasn't delivering. And so We're going to be going back to Rodrigo potentially playing in a similar capacity and not being in that, kind of free roaming. He was playing like a free roaming role, you know what I mean? And mm-hmm. I think it unfortunately hurts him as well as an asset. And Leeds were looking pretty good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Rodrigo scored without him.
Yeah, no, I know.
On the pitch. So it's not to say that it's impossible, but I do have similar sentiments without Patrick Bamford on the pitch, drawing away some of the defenders. The attention's going to now be heavily on Rodrigo. Yeah. And I'm sorry, who's going to really come in and replace a man like Bamford? Yeah. We saw what itty bitty
It's back to Dan James.
Itty bitty jet Dan James. What he gonna do?
Yeah, it's
the man
back to
can't finish for the life of him. He's quick though. He's quick. He's a quick player, and he has potential. Hasn't really lived up to it, but still relatively young. So give the kid a little bit. I'm not gonna harp on the kid. All of these guys, at the end of the day, you've made it to the Premier League. You're technically world class for the most part. So I'm never gonna rag on a player, but in comparison to your contemporaries, it's not it. Out of that Southampton game, a player who did catch my eye, Walker Peters is always somebody who I'm interested in because I like how he plays. I think he's a solid defender who has the ability to really attack. But it was Aribo who caught my eye.
Aribo. He looked good. It was
he caught my eye during that preseason match where he just essentially bodied his way through multiple defenders and was able to score a goal.
He scored it, yeah.
And I don't believe he started. I think he came off the bench in this game and was able to get the first goal to make it an interesting game against Leeds, only for Leeds to, wet the bed and have Walker Peters tie the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A little unfortunate for Leeds. Very a hard won effort, even though it's just a draw, to get that point for Southampton. Southampton impressed me a little bit, but then I have to remember it is Leeds. It is a team that's not really known for defending.
Neither of those teams known for their defending.
To be fair, you're absolutely right. I'm not sure if there's anybody really on my radar from Southampton outside of Aribo, but even him, I think he's a 5.5. I don't even think he's necessarily that cheap, but I'm going to have my eye on him definitely for what wildcard is looking like. As for the games, any other particular matches in game week 2? We didn't really touch on Wolves and Fulham, but that game was hella boring and Mitro missed a penalty.
Yeah, nothing exciting happened in that game.
Yeah,
that was a bit of a snooze fest.
Brighton, Newcastle as well.
Yeah, you know what? The one thing I do want to mention from both of those teams, both Brighton and Newcastle, that I think we need to keep an eye on from an FPL standpoint, is both of their goalkeepers. Pope had a strong game again. Pope has been one of the most consistent players when it comes to goalkeepers, when it comes to FPL. So one to keep an eye on. And Sanchez, Brighton, we thought Brighton's defense would have taken a little bit more of a hit, with some of the transfers that they had going out, as we're starting the season. But they seem to be flowing just fine. So Sanchez definitely an eye to one to keep an eye on there.
Yeah, overall, when I'm looking at Brighton, let me just check something here. I want to see Brighton had 13 shots in that game.
They look good. They look
Newcastle
good.
had 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Brighton looks like a good team, man. You
7
saw what they
shots were
did to
on
Man U.
Like I can't believe this.
Yeah, they look
Brighton
like a
is
good
not
team.
known for their offensive game. 13 shots and 7 of them were on target, making Pope work.
Yep.
And none of them went in.
Hey, I mean, listen, they you can't ask for you're asking too much. They're properly set up tactically. They're sound. They're looking good to me. Brighton is a team that's looking fairly good. They look set for mid table. Like they look that they're all but locking that up.
You have anybody on either team on your radar?
Outside of the goalkeepers for Brighton and Newcastle, those are probably it for me. Callum Wilson, I mean, I'm waiting for his yearly hot streak to kick in. Brighton, I just think Brighton's distribution of goals is a little too much for me to take stock in right now, but more so because of previous seasons. I do have an eye on Pascal Gross to see how he continues to trend. I think in my first FPL season, he was like one of the best buys of that year. I think he was like 5.5 million, scored like 160, 170 points. He was a beast. But outside of those players, no one else right now. I'm interested in the defense for both of those teams, especially considering how double Liverpool is trending currently.
Right. I think that I'm still going to keep an eye on Trippier from Newcastle.
Yep.
I'm not sure if he's already gone up in price. He probably has or is about to, but with a fixture against City coming up, I believe, I'm not going to be investing in any Newcastle defense. Probably look to him on my wild card, but I'm going to keep an eye on him. He has been playing relatively well. And just like you, Sanchez is on my radar. I wish I never went away from the Sanchez Raya goalkeeper and switching them out. I really wish I just stuck that route and got a cheaper defender. I would have had all other players on my team. Robbo wouldn't be in my team. It would have been a cheap defender, goalkeepers who could rotate. And we're talking about a swing right now of 10, 12 plus points already.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
Yep.
10 might be a little 10 might be more accurate, nothing more, but that's big so early in the season.
For sure.
So here's what we should probably get into. Let's talk about the game week for one another. We're going to start off with you showing us your team.
So this is the team that played in game week 2. As you can see, we scored 67 points for the game week, 10 points higher than the average that was 57. So I'm very happy with the results for this week. Overall, happy with the team. We ended up moving to 2.8 million in our overall rank, just north of that. We moved up from 4.3 million. So I'm very happy with that green arrow. Happy, that we're at least trending in the right direction. Just to quickly run through the team. Ward brought home his point. Of course, Liverpool didn't keep a clean sheet, as we know. For the Crystal Palace game, Trent and Robertson brought home 5 points between the two of them. Robertson also got subbed fairly early in the game, which was a little bit concerning for me. I'm just keeping an eye on that because Simicast got about at least 30 minutes or so game time. Cancelo brought home 11 points, an attack and return along with his clean sheet. Very happy with that there. Reece James, he got the goal that should have been the game-winning goal, but, unfortunately, Anthony Taylor had other things to say about that one, but Reece brought home 7 points. We have a Mo Blanc. Mo blanked in game week 2, and I think there was a little bit of a rumor that was going around that he tends to not score in game week 2. So, hey, it ended up It ended up biting us there. So one to keep an eye on. Might have to remember that for next season. Riyad Mahrez, man, I was so happy to see that he was on the starting lineup for City going into this Bournemouth game. Said, all right, Mahrez is going to do the damage. I expect City to win about 4 or 5-0. City win 4-0. And lo and behold, Mahrez is nowhere near any of the goals that went on. So, we have a little bit of an issue in the team there. Martinelli looking good. Arsenal is free flowing. They're doing their thing. Martinelli took his goal. It was I think the goalkeeper could have done a better job with it. He was a pretty good ways out, but still gets the points anyways. Takes home 8. Bailey, another benching. Not happy with that one. Haaland got the assist. He was I don't think Haaland did a lot that game at all. I'll leave that one for you to touch on, but he didn't do a lot at all. And then, as we said earlier, Gabi Jesus is looking like, prime R9 right now, playing with a ton of confidence, bringing home a whopping 19 points. So I was very happy with how the team performed. A nice little big green arrow. Happy we're trending in the right direction. Overall, nothing but good vibes from the team.
Solid. I like how your team performed overall. Obviously, like you said, 10 points higher than the average. I have a question for you, though.
Shoot.
Do you remember when we were talking about my differential team?
Yes, I do.
Do you think that my differential team outscored your team?
I'm going to say that it should. I always think a team that is set up to go for one game week should outscore whatever your general team, whatever your your long-term team is. So I hope they did. I just hope it wasn't by too much.
we're gonna come back to that because they definitely outscored my team. So let me share my team with y'all. All right, so I'm bringing up my team right here. 66 points on the game week. Very similar to yours, of course. So I'm not going to touch on too much. Bailey was a disappointment. Saka was a disappointment. Liverpool defense was a disappointment. Ward, he will continue to be a disappointment until I have a chance to wildcard him out of my team. I'm never doing this again. Minimum 9.0 spend on goalkeepers. I'm never buying 2 4.0 goalkeepers ever again. Salah, I'm not surprised about Salah. I've heard about this statistic before when it came up and him not scoring during game week 2. That's why he was not going to see the armband. I wish I was brave to say, hey, let me put the armband on Jesus, especially when I know Ward is trash. But there was no way that I was confident enough to even think about putting the armband on Jesus in comparison to Haaland. Haaland, he could have gotten on the goal sheet if Foden had squared him the ball.
Hey, yeah,
right. And that was in the first half, and it would have been an easy tap in with Haaland. That's how he gets most of his goals. They're going to be those. I don't want to use the word poacher, but he's just in the right place at the right time. That's what attackers do. It's going to be hard with certain defenses that are not leaving the gaps for him to run through. So I just feel as though the game that he had to play, it wasn't as favorable as the West Ham defense. And I think as well, when there are certain clubs that you're newly promoted, you know that you're facing the defending champions. I don't want to say this because I don't know how players feel, but sometimes when another team is just better than you and you feel like you're probably going to lose the game and you just want to minimize the damage. I don't feel like there was a single Bournemouth player that said, oh my God, we're going to come in here and we're going to win. I think deep down inside, they knew. And they knew they were going to lose, but it's okay. Let's minimize the damage. As I predicted, however, it was going to be an exact 4-0 game. Predicted it to the T. No surprises there. I am surprised Mahrez didn't get on the score sheet for you, though. He looked okay. He was taking shots. He was putting crosses in. it just sometimes with a team like City, the attacking returns can come from anyone and everyone.
That's
from
the problem.
Gundogan to Gundogan to Foden to Cancelo to Walker to Haaland to KDB. You don't know. I mean, shoot. What's the central mids? Put Rodri.
Yeah, Rodri gets goals.
Even he can get a goal or one. You literally don't know where it's going to come from on a given day. So 4 goals, different players involved. It is what it is. Haaland at only 5, bit disappointing, but at the end of the day, it's still an assist. It's still something because if you captained Mo, you got an extra 2 points. If we captain Haaland, you got an extra 5 points. I think it's kind of easy to say which one you would prefer. Mm-hmm. Now, if you captain Jesus, please drop a comment below because I'd love to know who captained Jesus. You, my friend, are a genius, and you are brave. Yeah. But let me just show you what's on my bench because I feel like a lot of people were dealing with a bit of this. So I have Williams on my bench, and I have Andreas on my bench. Now, obviously, Andreas didn't return, but if you hypothetically swapped out a Saka and a Bailey for a Williams and an Andreas, I mean, that's a 7-point swing right there. And this early in the campaign, none of us should be looking at game week ranks. I mean, my overall rank. My overall rank is like 951K, if memory serves me right, something like that. It's not that great, and I'm not that concerned. It's way too early to be looking at an overall rank. I mean, I'm gonna wait until game week 10 before I really start taking the overall rank seriously. Once some of the fans, so-called fans, die off, the casuals who are not really playing the game anymore, starts to get a little bit more competitive. But 66 points on the year. I am surprised that Nottingham Forest kept the clean sheet. I just didn't expect it, and it was a lucky clean sheet too. Because if memory serves me right, there was a goal that had been overturned in that game
for Nottingham Forest. That was they scored
for both of them, though. There was another one that had been called off. Who did they face again? It was West Ham, right?
West Ham, yeah, West Ham.
No, there was a West Ham goal that had been called off.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't. I definitely missed that one then.
I'm almost positive it was in both of their favors that the goal had been called off. So I feel like it's a little bit of a lucky one. I'm not running and saying, "Oh my gosh, next week let me play Williams." Right? Who are they facing in their next game week?
Everton. Hey, man. I need to think about this. It's definitely going to be something to discuss on the game week 3 preview.
Absolutely. But that's my team for now. I'm going to talk about the differential team coming into game week 2. So for anybody who had tuned in to the game week 2 preview, I did mention who I thought would be differentials and ideally score up to 70 points. I think I picked all the right players. I just didn't start the right players. So let me just run through my team that scored 68 points. In between the sticks, Martinez 3. I had Cresswell at 2. Robertson, unfortunately, at 2. I have Walker at 6. Cancelo at 11. In the midfield, Bowen at 2. Salah at 2. Podence at 2. Up top, Haaland 5, but he had the armband, so 10. Jesus 19 and Tony 9. If I added that up correctly, that's 68 points. My differential team wasn't that much better than both of our regular game week teams, but I left 15 points on the bench.
Yep.
De Silva, 8 points on the bench. First off the bench, unfortunately, but obviously his points wouldn't have counted. KDH only with 2. And then who else did I have here?
Williams.
I had Williams at 7.
Yeah.
So technically, in terms of who I would have started, 15 points. Imagine swapping out Podence for De Silva. That one could have been really a toss-up. That would have been a 6-point swing. But I'm not sure I would have ever truly played Williams. Especially when I have Bowen in the team, I usually don't play my attackers against my defenders. So I wouldn't have played Bowen to play Williams. That's just not normally what I do. Yeah. So a 6-point swing is at most what would have really happened, which would have actually been, what is that, 74?
74, yeah.
Which would have brought over the set. So, I mean, let's see what I have for game week 3 in terms of differential picks. Do you also remember that I said that the highest scoring midfield player was going to be KDB? I was wrong. Yeah. He was the second highest scoring midfielder. He had 14 points, and Rodrigo had 15 points.
Yes.
And he was on that watch list. So if I had put the team together a little better and removed Mo, but if I had removed Mo, I'm not sure who I would have gotten. I would have gotten KDB, but who do I take out? Do I bench Walker? Do I bench, not benching Cancelo, and I'm not benching Haaland, so probably would have been Walker, and I would have had to figure out a way to rearrange that defense. That bench, but the fact that I was even so confident that KDB was going to score high and I didn't put him in the team, it's kind of silly, right?
Yeah.
Super silly. I don't know what I was thinking.
Because if you think about it, you swap KDB and Salah, and then you swap Rodrigo and Podence, and that's a massive swing right there.
That alone. I still have to get rid of Walker and play and get a different defender because I can't have the 4 City players. But already,
but even still, like
we're talking 30 points, like 25 plus points at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if you brought in Luka Ding or something like that, you'd have still been fine. So.
Oh man. So I mean, I don't have anything else to say on this particular game week. I can't wait to chat about game week 3 preview. Bri, do you have any final words before we leave the viewers?
No, I think we've covered it all. If you guys are new here, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn your notification bells on. If you like the content, hit that like button. Be sure to share this with someone that you care about, who you want to see do well in FPL. You can also follow us at Up Your Rank FPL. And please be sure to tune into the next video. Can't wait to catch y'all in the next one. Peace. Be sure to like and subscribe.